Hello, I'm Corook, and this is the LSQ podcast. Because there was this hunger in me to be seen, and I didn't know what to do. And all of my friends around me that were trying to do TikTok and whatever were all really embarrassed to get on there. And I was like, if there's anything I'm not going to do, it's be embarrassed. Like, I'm going to get on there, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to look like a fucking idiot. I don't care. Like, I want to make music for the rest of my life. So if I have to dress up like a banana and get on screen, I'm going to do it. And I'm pretty sure I did that at one point.
What's up? I'm Jenny LSQ. Thank you for pressing play on episode 140 of the LSQ podcast with Corook. Like many of their fans, I discovered Corook's music on TikTok, and I was immediately charmed by the sweetness and humor and directness of their songs. Honestly, as someone who's newer to using TikTok, because I only set up my page about a year ago, at Jenny LSQ by the way, I've been surprised to discover that many artists who are hugely popular there with viral videos amassing millions and millions of views have relatively little exposure in more traditional music media, which is silly because there's some awesome shit on there, and as if music needs any more arbitrary silos than it already has. Anyway, Corook has been one of my favorite TikTok discoveries, and I was delighted when they agreed to get together over Zoom for this interview. Last week, Corook released a great new EP called How Do I Relate to You that includes their latest viral hit, Scooby, so look for that online now. In the interview, we delve into the making of the EP and, as usual, all the important creative milestones leading up to it. To begin, I asked Corook about their earliest memory of feeling like a creative person. So let's get into it.
The first time I felt like I was a creative was playing with my friends outside. I loved pretend. I loved to imagine, and I loved to do a story from beginning to end, you know? Like I was like, if we're playing Barbies, like what's the situation? Where do we end up, you know? So I've always just been drawn to like storytelling and also been really drawn to humor. Like I think I like my dad was so funny growing up, and I think that I got a lot of humor from him and just the ability to kind of step out when I feel safe to do something goofy. And I feel like both of those things have really informed and impacted where I am now in my creativity. But like the first time I remember being like, music, that's cool. My dad brought home like a DVD. It was like Linkin Park. It was like a live Linkin Park album DVD. It was so cool to me what they were doing. Like all of these people could do something completely different, like a drummer, there was a rapper, there's a guitar player, like all these different things coming together and like friends. It felt like a community on stage. And I was really drawn to that. I remember sitting there with my like pen and paper, and I was taking notes as to what each one was doing and thinking about which one of my friends could fit that energy and like would write down, okay, now Alyssa could be the drummer and Rebecca could play bass. You know, like none of us knew how to do anything. I was like literally 6 years old. But that was the first time I was like, music is cool. But I didn't get my hands on it until I was in like fifth grade. And my dad got me a guitar for Christmas. It was an electric guitar from like Walmart. And I didn't touch it for a long time. It wasn't until like sixth grade that I really like touched it. Because fifth grade, I was like, I'm playing Guitar Hero. I'm already really good on there. I don't really need to do this. Yeah, so sixth grade, we had a basement that didn't have anything in it for most of my childhood. And then suddenly my dad was like, let's put a rug down here and my old computer and a couch. And I was like, that sounds nice. Like, I'd shared a room for my entire life. I never had my own space. So I would go into the dingy basement that nobody else wanted to be in, and I would play my guitar. And I had YouTube, obviously. So I just searched on YouTube, like, how do I play chords? How do I play guitar? Tell me what to do. And from there, I would use the chords I'd learned and start making up songs about like a birthday song for my friend, or like a song about how my friend wronged me by dating my other friend, and like just like silly little things from middle school, you know? yeah, my dad really took notice of it. He was like, "This is really cool what you're doing. It's really an interesting thing you're doing." And he really invested a lot of time and energy into me in a way that I am so grateful for. And also, it ended up balancing out to be a little bit resentful. You know what I mean? It's just like, I want to have my own journey with this. This is my thing. But I went to a performing arts high school, and that was when I was like, I think I'm going to do this. Like, I think this is like the thing I do. I had played soccer my entire childhood, like really competitively, and I like quit soccer to do this. So that was when I was like, this is going to be my thing, and it's going to be my thing. I think it just felt like the most natural thing to me since I was a kid. Like, I was just like, huh, nobody does this. I don't know anybody that plays guitar. I couldn't ask anybody any questions. I didn't have anybody, but I just really wanted to do it.
Going back to the Lincoln Park thing,
Mhm.
well, I have two questions about that.
So
One is when you were, amongst your friends, like thinking like who would be what role, like who were you? Were you Chester? Were you Mike? Who were you?
I was Chester, and Mike's the rapper, right?
Exactly.
I was Chester and Mike. I'm not gonna lie.
Chike.
Yeah, I loved both of them.
Mester.
Right. I felt like I could be either one of them. I was so drawn to like Mike's incredible talent. I don't know, just rap was the coolest thing as a kid. You know what I mean? I was a really quiet kid. So like rap felt like, wow, you have a lot to say. And I am really drawn to that. But ultimately, the emotion of Chester was what I was like, I think that's how I feel. I think that that anger he had, and like underneath that, this like intense sadness and loneliness. I'm saying this as like I was a 6-year-old, but like I did feel that. Like I felt like nobody can hear me. Why is this, And so, yeah, I'm just gonna say Chike. I'm gonna say Mester, you know?
Great answer.
Yeah.
And what made your dad bring home a Lincoln Park DVD? I mean, was that just like in his wheelhouse of what music he liked? I mean, and
He had a
yeah.
really specific music taste, and he was really, really picky, really particular. Like he listened to a lot of like Pat Metheny, a lot of Ani DeFranco, Linkin Park, the Beach Boys, but never the Beatles, like never Carole King, never Joni Mitchell. Like there were there, and I didn't find those people until I was older, and also when I met my wife. And yeah, he's just really particular. He really liked something sounding complex, but easy to digest. And I think that I really gravitated towards that. I still do. I love the idea of being able to do something that not everybody else would do, but in a way that makes you understand it the first time you hear it.
And what was the other music that was just like for your generation, like that everyone was listening to at school or that you were hearing on the radio that you connected with and felt like you staked your claim to it?
Well, my mom didn't have any particular music taste, so she would just turn the radio on, and that became what I loved. And that was like Black Eyed Peas, Gwen Stefani. There was this like really like when I listen back to that era of pop music, I'm like, these were aliens making this. Like this is so weird. Like this shit is bananas. Like what is going on? Like there was nothing like that, you know?
I'm guessing Britney was meaningful to you because in some of the videos that you did for snakes, when you would talk about human snakes, you would always show Jamie Spears.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was just like, yeah, he is a snake.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, so Britney was a thing for you as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. So I shared a room with my older sister for like a long time, like probably till like third or fourth grade. And I will say, she was the Britney fan. I loved Britney's music, but there was also Christina, and they had a thing, they were rivals, and I loved a singer, and Maddie loved a dancer. You know what I mean? So yeah, I had to fight for Christina, but like as I got older, I listen to Britney way more than I listen to Christina. Love them both. Love to both.
Do you think that connecting longer term with Brittany is related to just her struggle and that the whole just knowing what we know about her life experience made you just get more into her as a person?
Absolutely. I think that I remember I would listen to Lucky, the song Lucky, over and over. And I would never tell Maddie I'd do that, but and I would just cry. Would just cry because I think that like I think I related to her feeling like nobody's listening. You know, like I have a really complicated relationship with some family members, and like there was a really big push for me to be great, fantastic, perfect, you know? And I was a kid. I just wanted to be a kid, you know? And that's what I hear in Lucky is like, I just want to be myself. I just want to be whatever I am today. And maybe it's sad. And that has to be okay because it's my life, you know? But when there's people counting on you and there's people pushing you, you can't, it's really hard to speak up. It's really hard to like step out, especially when you love the people and you're like, I want you to love me. I want you to like me. So yeah, I definitely relate to that.
This pressure that you're talking about from family members, is that arose once you started to be like in performing arts school and doing that as a thing that obviously you were good at? Is that what you mean, that they could see that you had these talents and a sparkle to you and they were like achieve, that kind of thing?
It actually started a little earlier. I was really good at soccer as a kid. Like I would say really young, I was good. And I think the older I got, the less good I got. But the more illusioned my dad became that I was special in this way. And I think he wanted a boy. I'm gonna be super honest. I think he wanted a boy. We had three. My mom was had three girls, you know. I was assigned female at birth, but I'm non-binary. And yeah, growing up with three kids and none of them being a boy, I think he really was looking for someone to like latch onto and just like believe in and like relate to. I think ultimately it's relate to. And I did relate to my dad a lot and still do. But I think he began to see himself in me. And when you see a version of yourself that has more life ahead of them, more chance, more opportunity, and a different dad to like give what he thinks that you would want. It just was really overbearing and difficult to speak up because I just wanted to play games with my friends. Like it wasn't like I wanted, there was probably one point when I was 6 or 7 when I was like, I want to be a professional soccer player, but like I was 6 or 7, you know? And then it became a thing until I was old enough to say, I don't want to do that anymore. And I want to be this. And I think when I did that, I was hoping for a little bit of space to make music my thing. And I think he was like, okay, well, then I'll just be your manager, you know? And so that was like a whole, it just kind of continued the difficulty, you know?
So when you started doing music and perform, so you went to performing arts school, and but that was it for music? Because as you said earlier, you were from the time you were little, you were into just being funny and some acting type stuff as well. Was the idea with going to performing arts school like that you would be this kind of all around performer?
So I auditioned specifically for music. I played an original song and I got in, like, there were different departments, and I got into the music department for this school. The school itself was like a 2 hour drive from my house. So I would have to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning to drive 30 minutes to the bus stop to get on the bus for 2 hours. And it was like a really big commitment, but I just loved it. It was so awesome to be around. It was like such a privilege to be around other creative people because I hadn't had that. like I said, I didn't know any adults that played guitar. I didn't know any kids that played instruments that like you start a band with. You know what I mean? Like there was marching band people and all that stuff, but it wasn't like band music, you know? And so getting to go to that school and spend every day with people that did that was just priceless at that age.
What did you discover in that early phase of this about the kind of art that you wanted to make, the kind of music that you wanted to make? What skills maybe you discovered you had that you didn't know you had until you were in that environment?
I was a big fan of like Sarah Bareilles at that point. Could play all of her songs on the piano. And I think that was the skill that I learned that I had. Like I played guitar, I wrote all my songs on guitar as a kid. I remember when I was really little, like maybe 7, I would around probably around that time I saw the video, I said to my dad, I want to learn how to play guitar. And he was like, okay. And then he talked to somebody and some guitar teacher, and the guitar teacher was like, they can't learn guitar until they learn the piano. And so I took piano lessons for about a year and a half when I was like 9 or 10. And I hated it. It was really boring. Playing scales, it just was so boring to me. And I was like, if this is music, I'm not really interested. So whenever I got to high school and I would have, like a block of time that was free, there were these little practice rooms. And I would just get in there and like play the piano in a way that I wasn't allowed to when I was younger. It was I still play the piano in the same way. It's like extremely exploratory. I don't know where I'm going. And then I find a way and I'm like, well, let me do that again and do it on purpose. And it feels like I know enough about piano and it's such an easy instrument to play in terms of like this is low, this is high, you know. It makes it so fun to run around on, I think. Yeah, I think that was what I found I really had was this love of adventure on the piano specifically because I don't feel that way about guitar. Guitar is like I feel that way about guitar, but just in a completely different way. The standard tuning of guitar is not for me. I mean, I love her. I use her a lot. I use the cowboy chords, but in order for me to have that kind of relationship with guitar, I have to tune it completely differently and be lost again. Like that's really what it is. It's like I love to be lost and find my way and make it mine.
And how did your songwriting itself change as you got, you know, at that level of more mature, that level of experience? I mean, I'm intrigued about the ways, even zooming out if you'd like to, like the ways that it has most changed, but also the ways that it's most stayed the same since your earliest instincts to write a song.
Such a good question. I feel like what's changed, it's gone one way and then the other way and then the other way and then the other way, you know? So like high school, I was obsessed with making sure everybody could sing the melody, you know? I was learning how to do that, how to write a song, you know? And then I went to college. I went to Berklee College of Music and studied music for 4 more years. And there, everybody was doing something that you couldn't understand. And they were surprising you and impressing you, you know? And so there was this season after that of like, well, now I have to surprise people. Well, how do I do that? Like, let me find a chord I would never play and let me put that in there. Or let me make this lyric so hard to understand, but so with words that I use all the time, you know? And then college, whenever you leave that bubble at Berkeley, you either stay in the bubble or you pop it, you know? And I like really wanted to pop it. So that was whenever I started Corook really. And that was a season of in the very beginning of Corook, it was a season of like I want to make pop music, you know? Like I was playing jazz chords and lots of changes in my songs in college and like I was like, I don't know if I like that or if I just wanted to do that because everybody else was. And so I really leaned into 1, 4, 5, 1, you know, like just the regular chords and making pop songs. Like when I listen back to my first EP, I'm like, that was pop, baby, you know? That was me pulling out, learning Ableton, getting an 808 on there and just auto tune and going for it, you know? And it's really fun to listen back to. And then after that, I think I realized I was doing that mostly to be not mostly, but just like there's a piece of me that I'm like, I think I really want to be liked. I think I really, really want to be liked. And I don't know if what I'm saying or what I'm doing is true. That has taken a long time to break out of. And I feel like I'm finally in a season of like beginning to really crack that and break out of it and step away from it. And ultimately, what I'm doing is going back to the beginning. And I'm using the cowboy chords that I learned on YouTube on the couch and singing about the world around me, you know, and I'm not trying to please anybody but myself this time around. And that is such a funny lesson to learn, you know. And I also am so interested to see what I do next and if I will go backwards or just continue that cycle, you know. I don't know, but
And when you talk about the now, the very now of it all, I mean, you do have this new EP, this new project, How Do I Relate to You, which is the latest collection of songs, which you were sharing a few singles in the lead up to the full thing coming out. And so I'm guessing that's the group of songs that you mean when you talk about kind of what you're trying to do now.
yes, definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because when you talk about wanting to be liked, one of the things I get from your music is, even the much earlier stuff, that's not how it reads to me. It reads to me more like wanting to connect, wanting to, yeah, maybe some wanting to be understood, but also wanting to connect with the things that other people can relate to about your worldview or your experience through song, and that by having songs that someone might connect to in an unexpected way, it makes them, feel seen and then also understand you a little bit better.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good way to put it because the distinction is entirely internal. It's like entirely like intent of like when I go into this, what is the intention? Because ultimately, I'm still the one writing the song, still the one making the song. I might not want to sound like myself or want to sound more like a more polished version of myself, but like if Snakes is the most polished version of myself, that's still pretty freaking weird for most people. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's like totally an internal experience of like when I step in the room to make something, who am I trying to please? Who am I doing this for? And at the beginning, it was very much like, I want fans. I want people to hear me. I want to be known. And that's part of the job, you know, that doesn't go away. But God, the internal experience can be really difficult when that's the leading source of happiness, you know?
Yeah.
It makes it really easy to get knocked down. And so that's something I have a lot of experience with on living on the internet and have had to learn why. Like, why am I knocked down so easily sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously the struggle of everyone who has to use the internet, social media specifically, right? Not the internet as much of a trash fire as the internet is. Without social media, it's the social media that makes us all feel different versions of that way that you're talking about. But yeah, I want to delve into a bit, yeah, what that was like for you at the beginning of, because your first viral video was not a music thing, right? It was just a funny moment kind of. You had been sharing your music on your accounts, but with a smaller audience. Is that right?
Yeah. God. I guess my first viral video was me. So, like, do you remember that video from like the early 2000s of this little girl like trying to eat spaghetti and she doesn't like it? And, like, but she's telling her mom, like, it's good. Like, It's really good, like gagging in the middle of it. And I like did one of the, I don't know, like there was a point in the last 5 years that it was like really big to like have a video play and you like do the video exactly like it's doing it. I had a video like that go viral. It was like the first time I got 1 million views on something, and I was like, this is so cool, you know? Just like, but I've learned so much along the way of like nobody listened to my music because I could imitate a little girl. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was funny, but like, and everybody else thought it was funny, but like nobody wanted to know my music, you know? And that has been like a really, it's so weird to be an artist right now. It's so hard to find your voice online because you want people to know you for music, but then that's not enough. Then it's like, oh, but we want to know who you are, you know? And then you're like, okay, I guess I could do that. I guess I can share what I would send to my sisters. And then you feel like, I mean, I personally, I feel like I'm giving pieces of myself away that I didn't agree to. And then you start getting viewed as somebody that's just an internet person. Like, oh, well, you're on the internet. And I'm like, well, I make songs, you know. Can you listen to my songs? You know? It's like, oh yeah, I love your songs, but like you're so funny, you know, or like I love when you talk about yourself. And it's like a really difficult balance of like, how do I get you to care about me with boundaries? You know, like with like, you don't need to know exactly who I am in order to listen to my music, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's my question right now. It's like, right?
No, I mean it's fucked up. It's and the thing of like when you because it wasn't that long after that your music that like Snakes or whatever started popping off on your pages, right? And that but I'm fascinated as well because you seem to have figured out so early on and in part I'm guessing it's because of your age and because of being so internet native and so just the things that one must do in order to build an audience or to keep priming the pump, in those environments and things that now, are sort of standard for how people with accounts that grow do these
Yeah.
things that are like, I imagine for you, not a burden or a chore, what's some nicer version of that concept that you have to do these things in this formulaic way of like you have to keep posting a little bit of the song over and over again, a different little bit of the song. You have to, you started doing that back then. You started doing you seem to have figured out for me who discovered your music more recently and then went back and looked at the earlier stuff like that's how you have to do it. That's how you have to grow your audience and keep the dreaded engagement going is these things. How were you figuring that out? I mean, were you just sort of like analyzing and assessing, watching, the metrics of your pages and stuff and being like, must grow?
Yes, like literally exactly. Like I just became a consumer of myself, you know? Yeah, there was a season in the very beginning, probably that first viral video where I was posting like 3 times a day. I was just like, I'm just gonna do because there was this hunger in me to be seen, and I didn't know what to do. And all of my friends around me that were trying to do TikTok and whatever were all really embarrassed to get on there. And I was like, if there's anything I'm not gonna do, it's be embarrassed. Like I'm gonna get on there, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna look like a fucking idiot. I don't care. Like I want to make music for the rest of my life. So if I have to dress up like a banana and get on screen, I'm gonna do it. And I'm pretty sure I did that at one point. They're gone. Those videos are gone. But like I just wanted to make music and I would not allow my vanity or like
Fear?
to get in the way. And I did a lot of things that didn't feel like myself. I did a lot of things that were funny and weird. I did a lot of things that I will never do again, but I figured it out. I figured out like, okay, this is when I feel comfortable. This is when I get a lot of views. What can I do next to kind of merge the two, you know? And ultimately, like, I'm still playing that game. The algorithm has changed so much from 5 years ago to now. Like, I go through seasons of knowing exactly what to do next. exactly how to keep the momentum going. And then I go through seasons of like, I don't know how to start this bus again. Why do I have 150 views on this video with a million followers, you know? And I think that like in this season of wanting to do what's best for myself, I've really had to let go of that metric standpoint because I'm not 26 anymore. I'm 31. I just got married like a month ago.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. I've been going to therapy for 4 years. I feel like a completely different person from that 26-year-old. Like I'm not a social person. I'm an introvert. I love my people. I'm a strong lover, you know. But casting a net out for millions of people to like be my friend is not natural to me. But it's something I do for my music because I want people to hear it.
So when you are just doing your art and creating music and stuff, you where are you? Where does the magic happen? And is there a certain headspace that you have to get into and kind of getting away from all of that and not factoring that in?
So it's changed a lot over just the last 5 years of being Corook. But right now, I made this whole EP with two people. I've like never done a whole project writing and recording everything with the same people. I think it's been really fun. There's this guy's name's Kevin Farzad, and he's a really great drummer, an amazing producer and co-writer. And he has a garage that he made into a studio. And then he has a best friend. His name is James Allen. He goes by Valley Boy as an artist. And they co-write a ton. They've made a ton of music together. And so I just kind of stepped into that space with them. And we took on this really amazing like theory. It was right after my last album came out, and I had this really awful shit going on line. It was this they them energy song that had gone viral and was just getting a lot of hate. I mean, the atmosphere around trans people last year when Trump was getting into office was insane. It was awful. And I was really sticking my neck out and being like, okay, well, I just still fucking exist, you assholes, you know? And got a lot of hate. Got a lot of hate, a lot of death threats. I almost canceled my headline tour. I did cancel a headline tour in the UK for some really scary threats that I got. It was just like awful. And when I got back from the tour, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get back up. Like I'm 30 years old. I do this because I love it, and I can't imagine getting in a room and making more songs that eventually could hurt me this way, you know? That's how it felt. It was like a reaction, you know, a cause and effect kind of thing that I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that because I don't feel safe anymore. And so when I met Kevin and James, I was in that place of like, I haven't written in a long time. I don't know what this is gonna be like. And they were like, what do you want to do? Like what sounds fun? And I thought about the way I play piano and stuff and how I love having it feel human. And I just said like, do you know whenever like I think about dads in like the 80s or even the 90s and they're like, you know, standing at their kids' basketball practice next to each other and one of them just happens to say like, yeah, I got a drum set in my garage, you know. And the other one goes, really? Like, I play bass. And they're just like randomly like, we should get together. We should just like make some noise, you know? And like that was like the theory. That was like the thought that really like got me excited again was like, can we just sit in this room together, the three of us? James is a great drummer, or sorry, Kevin's a great drummer. James is great at literally everything else, guitar, bass. He could play anything. And I could play piano and guitar. And we sat there and wrote the entire EP this way, like this like just going back to the basics of being a band again and being like kids in a garage, not really knowing what's going to happen next and not having a BPM and not, you know, like it feeling like human. And Yeah, then these, I think, what is it, 5 or 6 songs a CP? I should probably know
It's six. Six.
that. Yeah, these 6 songs, as well as a lot more, like came out, and these are the 6 that we're releasing first, and it felt so different. I felt not alone in making it. And part of that had to do with like coming back to myself and being like, if we're gonna stand up, I'm gonna stand with you. Like, you're not standing alone and you're not doing this for anybody else anymore. And also like doing it with these guys that like they're saying every word with their chest as well when they sing it. Like we're all singing it together.
But it's interesting because, well, these songs are about stuff, and fearless in that way.
Mhm.
I mean, even just start with Scooby, which was the first song that folks got to hear from this, which does not pull any punches. It must have been, well, I mean, I guess tell me about kind of the in your head, as you've said, there was a lot of fear because of all of the trauma associated with the reaction to they them energy. Like, how did you kind of get yourself back to feeling safe to say what you want to say? And I guess I was thinking about this earlier, like wondering if this sense that who knows what people want to see on the internet anyway, like frees you up somewhat to just be like, look, I'm going to just say what I want to say because there's no way to calculate what people like anyway.
Yeah, God, Scooby is so funny to me. Okay, so I'll just start here. Like, I hadn't really been posting on the internet for a long time. I was having other people post for me, or I just wasn't on there. I like couldn't be on there. My comments were filled with just the most vitriol, disgusting stuff. I couldn't do it. And so when I started writing these songs, I was like, I got to figure out how to do this again. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I got together with my manager, and we were talking about what to do. And we just came down to like, just play the songs, just play them. We'll just see what happens. And the next day I posted Scooby and it went viral. It had like over 3 million views by the end of the day. And it cracked me up because of that specific thing. It was like I was so scared. I was so scared. And I think that the thought process was like when I got knocked down last year, I got knocked down for a tiny piece of a song that didn't tell my whole story. It was a tiny, loud piece that people grabbed onto and were like, this is who Corook is. They are non-binary. They are this blue-haired, barista-loving, like liberal, and both of those things are true. But also, like, I'm sweet. I'm really sensitive. I can sing. I don't just chant in my songs. I have a lot of humor. I'm gonna be silly. And like there are so many pieces of me. And it felt like they them energy going off and having the thing it did was like, that's not all of me. That's not, and especially because I'm like, I'm holding back a little bit of who I am because I want you all to like me. So that hurts even more. And so having Scooby was like, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be 100% honest. And I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I'm gonna hurt my feelings in the process. I'm going to be extremely honest. That's the only way I can do this again. Is like if I truly believe what I'm saying and I'm saying it with my whole chest. I want you to know if you're gonna hate me, I want you to hate all of me. This was my song of like being really honest. I was prepared for whatever came at me. And the fact that it was the complete opposite reaction really blew my mind. I felt so much less alone. And ultimately, I felt just more sturdy of like, because I mean, if you read through the comments, not all of them are nice, but it was so much easier to get back up after reading them because I knew I was representing who I actually am.
I mean, and what to you is the message of Scooby? What is the song about?
In Scooby, it's like none of us are innocent under capitalism. Like we, especially like people that vote blue or vote independent and are liberals, leftists, Democrats. Like we are not better people all the time because we care about people. There are systems in place that we literally buy into that are keeping poor people poor, that are keeping people of color oppressed. Like that is true. And unless we can admit that, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting too that I feel like, yes, sometimes you have to take yourself down or say something critical of yourself in order for people to join in or feel like, okay, you're not saying that.
I'm perfect.
Yeah, you're not idealizing. You're showing, just how vulnerable you are. You're willing to be vulnerable enough to say like,
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem.
I think that if we all could do that, we would just live in such a better world. If we could all just admit, I think I might be wrong about that. Would you mind telling me more? Oh, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine the world we would live in. I think that people are so scared to be looked at as a bad person, and it's just not black and white. It's like you have to make mistakes. You have to, and you have to admit them in order to do anything about it.
Yeah, so looking forward, I mean, what are you looking forward to in terms of shifting from being as focused on this world that you built online to having that as a community offline?
I think connection, like real connection, is what I'm most excited about. Like it's so interesting that you said that you heard in the earlier songs that I was reaching for connection because that's just really what I've always wanted is I want to connect to other humans. And I think by stepping away from that online world and trying to do more things in person, trying to guide people from this big nest of the internet into smaller nests, into in-person nests, into a show, like I think that, oh God, I cannot wait to play these songs live because they just feel so human. And I think that that experience is gonna make me feel more connected to those people, my fans, and the people coming like than ever.
And when's that happening? When are some IRL shows kicking off?
Such a great question. I don't really know. I mean, I have a few things, like I have a few pop-ups that I'm gonna do around this EP and stuff. But I probably won't be touring until early next year in terms of headline. I have my fingers crossed. Somebody will be kind enough to take me on tour later this year. So maybe if this comes out soon enough for that. Are there any bands that want to take me on tour? I would love to go on tour. Yeah, I just want to play these songs as much as possible this year.
I mean, my honestly, totally unsolicited advice, but I say just hit the road, just do the old school thing.
Yeah,
Just hit the road and just go places and set up a last minute show and put out the signal. You can use the internet for good.
yeah,
Who's got a living room where I can come play? And that builds buzz and whatever, but you meet people and it feels good, and you're not waiting for some fucking booking agent and some fucking, just like, do you can go play. You'll find, I mean, you could go busk, you could go, you know what I mean, like you could go play a show for 10 people and 100 people show up, whatever, it'll still feel good, and there's no downside. So
yeah. I mean, that's the most human route to go, right? Like, that's how I've been doing everything else. So if you hear this, if anybody hears this and has a living room, hit me up. Maybe I'll come.
well, thank you so much for connecting to do this.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thanks again to Corook for that interview. Corook.com is their website, and follow them on socials to stay in the loop. And thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to keep up with me online, I'm at JennyLSQ on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and you can get to other episodes of the LSQ podcast on various platforms and at jennylsq.com. I'll talk to you next time.